It's election season for city government, and you want to cast an informed vote. One Ogden is here with the voices and faces of the people stepping up to represent you. Heath Satow is running for Ogden City Council District 3.
Well, I was born in Ohio, family moved to North Carolina, I moved to Los Angeles, and it was good for my art career, but not as, as a human being. It was becoming a little oppressive, and we looked around. My better half had come to a bicycle race here in like 2013, I think, and she loved it. And we had been looking for like, where are we going to go? And we could go anywhere as long as I had access to, industry. And Ogden had all that, had a good airport within a reasonable distance, and it was beautiful. And I was a big snowboarder at the time, so that was a big plus too. And at the time, it was affordable.
So were you excited to come here?
Yeah. Well, I was a little nervous actually. When Utah came up, that was not high on my list, and I came and visited here, and I went to some of the local businesses and stuff, and I was like, this is cool. I really like it. So yeah,
And I'm curious, just after living here a while, did it meet your expectations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a little concerned when I lived here a little bit. We were seeing some of the issues that had affected us where we came from sort of looming on the horizon here with homelessness and cost of housing and that sort of thing. And, those were sort of things, part of the reason that drove us out from where we were before. And so that's when we kind of got involved in local politics and started, Ghost of Christmas Future here.
And what's your professional background?
I make public art. I have been doing that my entire professional career. And I actually think that's served me well for dealing with city issues.
Is public art then, that means like it's to be displayed in public, not like in a museum or something? Is that?
Yeah, I've done very little like gallery art, like sold to individual collectors. Usually it's like municipalities, a lot of colleges and universities. I'm working on, I just finished a project for, I just finished the whole process of getting under contract, a thing for, I'm getting these reversed, SUU, and I've got another one that I just won, and we're still working out the contract on USU. So those are some local ones, but I've done stuff all over the nation, all over the world, and I deal with cities all the time. The permitting process, street closures, all that nitty-gritty stuff, and I learned a lot about how some cities have made it easier to work with them, and some cities make it harder to work with them. And honestly, there are cities I will never do work again for, even if they ask me to do it. They're just not fun to deal with, and I'd rather work with cities that want to make things go well. They're like a partner rather than a opposing force.
Yeah. And so it's all sculpture. Like, what kind of materials is it?
Yeah, it's all mostly stainless steel. I work in Corten a lot too, which is just a variation of steel that sort of stops rusting at a certain point. And I've been doing a lot with gold leaf too. I don't know if I got affected by the angels on top of the temples or what, but I got really into. I've been doing some really big stuff with gold leafing on them too, and like combined, especially with like Corten, the rust and the gold. It's been a really nice contrast.
And so talk about how you think that's maybe prepared you for municipal office.
Sure. Like I said, I deal with cities all the time, and as a person that owns a business, I'm not taking that route of, city government should be run like a business, because I think that's bull. They're not the same thing. There's overlap, but they're not the same thing at all. Your goal is not profit, it's to serve the people. Safety and infrastructure are the basics, and one thing I have to do is every single project's unique, and I have to look down the road and go, where am I going to run into issues with this project? Where can it fail? How can I address that before we ever get there? And that relates a lot to how cities work. A lot of the things they do, they're dealing. There's a lot of like we can learn from. We don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over again, but there are individual qualities to every issue that we have to look down the road and go, how is this? This may look good here, but how's it look here, and how's it look here? I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but
Totally.
it's sort of thinking ahead basically, and being a really good critical thinker of like I know this feels like a good idea, but is it the best idea?
Yeah. And so what made you want to run for office then? How'd that start?
Well, I was just following all the local issues, and I had served on an elected position on a neighborhood council for a neighborhood that was about as populous as Ogden. Angel, my partner, had been sort of the liaison between that neighborhood council and the city. And we just, if you weren't just super connected or a billionaire, celebrity or billionaire, you really couldn't have much impact. And I saw our whole area go from a thriving, cool place to more thriving, which was cool, but then it got rapidly gentrified, and all the artists that lived in the artist district, where I was at the sort of southern end of the arts district, they got pushed out and pushed out and pushed out, and everybody I knew ended up leaving or cashing out. And it's a cool place to visit, but the heart of it sort of died, and I don't know where I was headed with that. What was the question?
Well, how it led to municipal office. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we saw a lot of that happening here. Homelessness was present but not visible because it was low enough that people were along the river and like sort of hidden out of view. And we experienced the same thing where we were previously of homelessness was a big issue, but it was sort of tucked into the corners. It wasn't a big thing. And now if you go to LA, it's like the off ramps are just lined with tents. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it takes an emotional toll to go through there anymore. I still have friends in the area, and I've gone back to do work in that area, and I've lived through not addressing an issue in time and it becoming something that like they're spending billions now and it's just not doing it. And I see the value and know the value of addressing things before they get out of hand. So so we were seeing housing prices go up crazily. We saw we bought our house and like a couple years later it was like doubled in value almost, it seemed. And this is great if we were buying properties and selling them. It's great for investors. It's not great for people that just want to live here. And they just want their families to afford a place. And it's not, I don't blame Ogden in particular for that. That this is an issue that's happened across the nation and in a lot of places. There are very few places where, housing has become more affordable. So, but there are things to look at about how we address these issues, and especially when our city spends a lot of money buying up property, clearing the property, and most of it giving it to developers along with other bonuses to quote unquote make it pencil for the developer, but in the process we're not getting all we could out of that process about creating like more LIHTC projects where there are a certain percentage of housing in these spaces that are more affordable, below market rate for a certain number of years. And we've got a few projects like that, and that's great, but we could have done more. The Wonder Block was expressed as it's going to be some of the most expensive apartments in all of Ogden, and we bought that property ourselves. We cleared it ourselves as Ogden, and we didn't have any sort of a bidding process. We gave it to a developer that was tight with our people in certain people in economic development at the time, and they're not a developer that has done a lot of this precise type of project. There are developers that have done that have done successful projects, and just the fact that we gave it all away to create some of the most expensive apartments in Ogden, and we bonded, I keep forgetting, it's like 160 million or something between the parking decks that we are providing their parking for them, and the office building there that who knows if it'll actually get use. I hope it gets, the project has to succeed or we're screwed. I mean, so there's that, and people are like, why do you hate developers? I was like, I don't hate the developer. I think they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're getting as much money as they can, as much profit for the investors as possible. That's what a developer does. I work with a ton of developers on public art projects, and they will squeeze you for every dime. And that's just, I'm not mad at them. They're doing what they do, and they do it well. So more power to them, but as a city, I think we could negotiate better deals if we're going to go this far, and I'm just sick of the no bid process we've done in the past and how much it's taken out of our city.
Yeah. And did you ever think about state or federal office, or was it always city?
I never even thought of city office, honestly. I got tired of going to every single, for the last 7 years I've gone. At first, I was going to all the city council meetings I could. I wasn't able to attend a lot of work sessions, but after they started doing everything via Zoom, I have attended literally every single work session and city council meeting. I've attended more than a lot of the elected council members. So I followed everything. I've spoken up when I felt I needed to speak up. Sometimes I've gotten listened to, but a lot of times I don't feel like the 3 minutes is enough to really get a perspective in there. And I see a lot of potential for our council, but I don't see the voice. I can get into the weeds on some deals in the past that I was just practically screaming from the rooftops about what are we doing here, and how they have come true, or what I warned about. But I just don't feel like there is a strong enough, I've tried to think of a better word for this, but critical thinking is, it sounds negative, but it's just really like going, okay, I hear what you're presenting here, and doesn't matter how much I like you or anything, I want to look into the details. I want to dig down. I want to go like, this developer that you're presenting as Henry Walker Homes is actually JF Capital. They're the parent company, and that was not presented to you after you gave JF Capital all these other projects. All of a sudden they come in and say, oh, this is now Henry Walker Homes, to name some people. And again, I'm not mad at them. They're doing what they do. Yeah. But the fact that I had to come, a couple of us came in to the council meeting and go, wait, this is the same firm, it's just a different name, and why wasn't that presented to you? Yeah. Fortunately, that guy in city government's now gone. But it's that sort of thing of just really digging into the details and going, why, who does this benefit in the end? Like, you can say this is going to be a real project, but who does it benefit? Is it just going to be to bring in more wealthy people here that work in Salt Lake, and it's just a bedroom community for them, or does it really overall help the community, and how soon will it help the community? And yeah. So.
Well, I'm curious about that, because I think you're pretty well known. If anybody watches the council meetings, you're there with like informed opinions. Right. You've looked into it. I just wondered, like,
I don't like being wrong. When I'm pointed out that I'm wrong, I accept it and I'll look into it, and I love learning new things, but I don't like showing up not knowing what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I do try to research things as best as I can.
Yeah, do you have a process for that, or are there like certain data sources you love to go to that maybe people don't know about?
Well, the Utah is very heavy on real estate people in our legislature, and it's sort of this weird part-time job where you have like a month and a half you got to take off. So it's perfect for like people into realty and investors and that sort of thing. So a lot of those laws are very favorable. But we can look into things like, I use Weber County Property Search, and I can go, who owns this, who owned it previously, how did it change hands, did this just go, from someone to someone that clearly knew the city was about to buy this right beforehand, and they made a good bit of money. I've seen that a number of times. Our Utah's government LLC listings you can look up, and sometimes you get enough information from pulling that up. That was like the JF Capital Henry Walker Homes thing, and you can sometimes have to pay $1 to see the whole listing of people involved. But it's a lot of red yarn and pins on the wall. Not in reality, but sort of in the brain going, okay, this, and going, wait,
Yeah.
So do a lot of that, and just a lot of Googling.
And so what are the issues you think are maybe on the top of voters' minds or maybe need more attention?
Housing always comes up. I want to make sure I hit on those. With that is we're playing catch up on a lot of the infrastructure stuff, roads. I subscribe to the water pipe, the water issues newsletter the city puts out. I'm subscribed to a lot of others, but it's like water line burst. I mean, it's like almost a daily occurrence, and we have spent so many years. Long after, I mean, there was a time when Ogden really was considered the armpit of Utah, and some still do, and to them I'm like, you're either not cool or you just don't get it, or you haven't been here.
Yeah.
It's not. It's beautiful. The people are awesome. Most of the people in our government are really great people. I have, a lot of people know me by name there, and most of them, I really love talking to them. And they've been great. But we continued long past this sort of need for trying to force development to buying up all this land and using TIF, tax increment financing, to the point where the state called us out for abusing the process. The state has recently changed its rules, and as has the county. So we're not even able to abuse it as much as we did. And what happens is it's a long topic, but basically when developers come in and they need a little bit more money, it was supposed to be sort of like, we need to put in a sewer line, we need to put in a new road, but it became like financing a good chunk of the whole development. Mm-hmm. And so that is basically property taxes they would have paid into the system. These new developments put us more strain. They put more kids in the schools. They put more people on the water lines, more people on the sewers, more people on our electrical grid, and all that. And when we put all that extra strain on it, but we're using the short version, if we, this is inaccurate, but the way to think about it is the property taxes they would have paid are financing the project instead of going into our taxes. And so we all end up covering the difference. So we have relatively high property taxes here, and we have failing infrastructure because we haven't kept up with that. The idea is eventually that TIF ends in 10, 20, some are even longer years, and then they start paying the increased value of that land, which is great, but along the way they didn't pay any. And they're saying, well, this development wouldn't have happened if we hadn't done that. And we don't really have good metrics to say that that's true. Mm-hmm. Because the city buys up all this land, clears it out, and then a lot of times have not had any sort of a bidding process for these projects, and then they just go to a favored developer. Yeah. So I'm getting into the weeds here. Sorry, I told myself I'm going to try to stay out of these like long things, but that's been a really big thing. And so, yeah, our infrastructure, number one. Safety, I think we're doing pretty well on that. Our crime trends have followed the rest of the nation. It's been going down for the most part, except a little spike during COVID, when people are stuck at home and I guess getting sick of each other. I shouldn't make light of that. It was pretty awful, but that spike has dropped, and we've followed that trend. So we're at least doing the right things the rest of the country is doing in that regard. And housing, Union Station has been a big thing for me. It was one of the things when I came here and saw Union Station, saw the trains out there, I was like, I'm a little boy again. All of a sudden, I wasn't a big train guy, but it was like all of a sudden, ooh, these are awesome. And I found the gun museum by accident, just kind of walking through there. And so, what's that little sign over in the corner there that says "Go up these stairs"? And I think that's where I probably first met John Thompson, who's perennial candidate John Thompson. He is great as a guide up there. If you've never been up there when he's there, he just knows everything. He's even made his own display that he thought was sort of lacking, sort of made his own cut and paste sort of thing on the wall. And he's a very entertaining educator there. And I've met a number of volunteers over the years there. And Teresa Holmes, she was there forever, and she got kind of run out because she's outspoken. She, if she's got something to say, she's going to say it. She's about this big, and she is a bold voice and has been. And she sounded the alarm early on some exhibits sort of disappearing and where things were going. And there were some rational explanations for some. There were other worries that we were quietly getting rid of some stuff to make something else easier as we were looking at developing the whole area and Union Station. And I felt like the focus should have been on Union Station a long time ago. I mean, they did sort of bare maintenance. I just learned all the beams up in the main lobby are painted over with this fake wood grain, and they had these super colorful, detailed painting all in these amazing like wrought iron chandeliers that hung down in the space, and they sort of disappeared for cleaning and never came back. And that Union Station really, I think, needs to be more of the heart of the city, along with the historic 25th along there. I mean, when I list off business, I was listing off all the businesses I like and stuff, and a lot of them are, along 25th. I live on 25th, a little further up, and it's just, we have such a wonderful little downtown area, and Union Station could be so much more. Yeah. And that could attract people here rather than paying developers. And I think we've gone about it kind of backwards in that regard. We're working on it some. I disagree with the mayor and administration on a lot of things, but I also think that they are looking, at least right now it looks like they're looking at some good things moving forward. So keeping a really tight eye on that, and I keep tight with people like Steve Jones, who's been a big voice supporting Union Station for many years. So yeah, those are, I guess we were talking about things that are important to people. Another main thing has been just making it easier for small businesses here. There are examples where like Kim Bouchard and Roosters and her partners with their other businesses have done great here. The city's been really supportive with them, and that's great, and it's a shining example of what can happen when the city works well with businesses. But I also know people like Annie and like Penny Allred Daly and Andrew are partner in that business with 2-Bit Cafe, Taboo Pizza, Jeremy, just like they spent like a year or more battling the city just to get some things through, because every time they talk to someone, it was a different person. I've also heard rumblings that we're trying to sort that out, and Mayor Nadolski has spoken up about that. I think more needs to happen faster, and a number of these people nearly it was like, is it just me, or do I just happen to know all the people having problems with them, or is this common across the city? And it seems it's been very common. So that would be another major focus, is staying on top of that issue and going, like, are we really moving forward with this, or are we just kind of making tiny incremental changes?
Yeah. Well, and how do you think that the city council, or you as a council member, or even like how is it appropriate for government to kind of get involved in some of these things and have an impact?
Well, again, when you say safety and infrastructure, that really comes down to safety. Is our water safe to drink? Or even shower in? Are roads going to suddenly flood with a burst water main? I saw somebody texted me a picture of something that they said somebody had commented on. You're from Ogden. Is that our new splash pad? It's like, oh God, yes. What I have a hard time staying on topic sometimes. My mind goes like this. But the main things with government is safety, and we should get involved with new businesses as far as like making sure they're not going to hurt anyone. We have code for reasons, fire codes and that sort of thing. When I opened this place, the fire marshal came through and checked and said, these breakers need replaced. I replaced them, and they came back and said, good, check, But some things are harder to approve, more public spaces. The public safety is job number one. And after that, we're doing a major code revision right now with the city on zoning and that sort of thing. And that the government has, there's argument for and against this sort of very specific zoning. It is good. We've been doing a lot of just sort of, okay, we'll let you do this here even though it's not really zoned for it. Okay, well, or you can't really do that there even though it's kind of zoned for it. And it makes it hard for people to purchase property, and that's why it's been, and we kind of manufactured the crisis of developers not coming in here. We made it hard for developers to work here, and I know local people that are just like, I can't work here, So we have to make it easier, but while keeping things safe. Basically, like make sure things are good, and then get out of the way, and make sure that process is quick. We can also help along, cultural things, approving things, events, and that sort of thing, and making sure that they work with the city, that they don't cause a problem. With this recent sculpture installation I just did in Lee's Summit, Missouri. In advance, I was like, will we need street closure for this? I don't know the area. Are we going to have to close off the street for the crane and the flatbed truck bringing in the sculpture and that sort of thing? And they're like we got that. And like day before I was shipping off the sculpture and in full, get everything together, finish up the crate before the driver arrives here. They said, oh, you're going to have to get a street closure permit. I said, I don't have time for that right now. And they said, we'll deal with it. And I got there, and they're like, I was like, how'd you get around the street closure thing? She's like, we just did it. But they knew that it was not going to cause a safety issue. They knew the area. They had closed that street before and stuff. And they knew enough to get out of the way when they needed to get out of the way, and it just benefited everyone. I had been misinformed. They took responsibility for it and fixed it. That's good government. In my opinion, and they've got great little downtown there. It's really cool. And I think we got a lot going for us. And if we can just, we make sure things are safe, make sure things work, and get out of the way. And there are other areas that don't have any zoning at all. I think there's issues with that, but there's also interesting things that can happen. So I think sort of somewhat of a hybrid approach is good for that. I'm not a zoning expert though. I won't pretend to be. I think my main thing with wanting to be on the council is not to like I have zero desire to ever become mayor, like the next step up, because I don't want to run things. I want to be a voice on the council that's saying, what about this? Have we thought of this? And that's a voice that I don't think has been heard enough on the council, and that's why I want to be there.
Yeah.
So not to run things, not to tell everybody how it should be, but like, have you thought of this?
Yeah.
Who does this benefit?
Yeah, great. So talk about just some people around the community who you think, or organizations that are having a good
Here's
impact.
where I made a list. First person that came to mind was Deanne of the Ogdenite. She's this like tether between our cultural community and the rest of the community, and she's just great. She's like this shining light. I love her to death. Miss Betty Sawyer, she got the state, it wasn't alone, but she was a driving force behind Juneteenth becoming a holiday, a state holiday, and that's just like, wow, you're a force, force of nature to do that here. Jared Allen with Twilight, obviously that was one. When I first moved here, I was like, this is incredible. I'm seeing the Flaming Lips for this cheap price on front row, and this is great. One of my favorite bands. Teresa Holmes, I mentioned her, volunteer. I love her. She's given so much to Union Station. I mentioned John Thompson, Steve Jones, Kim Bouchard, Andrew and Penny at 2-Bit. As far as local organizations, YCC obviously, the Swazo Business Center, that we need that and more of that, of helping small businesses get off the ground. I think that's really where our heart is here. I feel like this is a very local place. I've heard the mayor speak about becoming an international facing city, and I'm going to argue with him on that. I have no problem with making the city better, but I've lived in an international facing city and know the problems with that. And, that was always a love-hate relationship. And I love Ogden, and I know so many people here love Ogden. And, there's things that are just great for investors, but not great for the people that just want to live here and enjoy Ogden. And I'm on that side of things. Youth Impact. I haven't had time. I did a class there once, and it was just great working with kids. We were welding stuff together, and they were like going like, I'm moving metal with my bare hands, and they were so excited, and that was great. Roads to Independence. We were actually just working with a friend of ours, getting some benefits from them, and Circle's opening soon on Washington. I'm excited for that because I think they're a really great resource and a really great organization.
Yeah.
Then you had
what about local businesses?
Local businesses, yeah. 2-Bit is always. 2-Bit was one of the first places I ever ate in Ogden. I was like, this is cool. And when they got booted out, like sort of meaninglessly, like right before Christmas, it broke my heart. And I knew Penny was devastated, and Andrew, who had been working with them, really like stepped up and was like, I'm going to find us a place. And so they, are just down the street now. But it was, every step of the way I was checking in on them, and it was just like, okay, we're almost there. Like 2-3 weeks, and then it'd be like a month later, going, what's going on? They're like, the city, blah blah blah, and it was so painful. But they're open now, and I love that place. They've got a lot of great spaces to hang out in. You can sort of separate off into a corner that sort of overlooks the street, and they've got great food and great drinks and great people. Grounds for Coffee. I love Susie and Dan. They're great. They've contributed a lot to the community, and they've provided a good meeting place. I've met with people for Sunday coffee almost every Sunday there, and we talk about local issues and stuff. And they provide that space, and they're just awesome. Taboo Pizza, both locations there. Talked to Jeremy quite a bit, and he's a great guy. His wife less so I don't remember her name offhand. Lucky Slice for singles, single slices. Table 25 is great. The owners are great, and their names escape me. I'm not great with names. That's one thing that makes me not a career politician. I'm not one of these people that remembers everyone's name. I remember faces. I remember what they care about, but names I'm going to have driven into my head a few times. Sonora Grill, we're meeting there on Thursdays now for a thing we're going to do in September called Ogden. We're doing a whole dog event at the farmers market there, and my friend Casey, who's also just, Casey Welch is just, he's younger than me, but I keep telling him I want to be him when I grow up. He's just the most wonderful person, and Sonora's kind of hosting these meetings. Jalisco's great burritos. I'm not a tequila guy, so I don't know how that goes, but I know it's a good tequila bar, but I go there for the burritos. And I did they've got the, blanking on the name, it's basically like a shawarma spit, but for Al Pastor. I did the backdrop stainless steel thing for that, mostly in exchange for free food.
That's not like All About Tacos, is it? You're talking they're shaving the beef off?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't been
know
to All
where
About
that
Tacos. But Jalisco's is where Yeshel was.
Jalisco's doing that.
Yeah, they've got a setup for that now, and he's like, I need a backdrop, and I want sort of a stylized drawing of a tequila plant, agave.
Oh, yeah.
It's agave. Oh God, I sound like an idiot. Sorry. Sometimes words escape me. But anyways, I did that. If you see that in there, that was me. Tiny little project. Cuppa. I love Cuppa. Great place to meet people. I'm not even vegan. I try to eat, a lot of vegetables and less meat, but they've got an incredible vegetarian menu. It's one of the few places I really go, like, actually vegan menu. It's one of the few places I go, like, just because I want to eat the food, not because I want vegan food. Yeah. They've got this jackfruit barbecue sort of like pretzel bun thing. So good. Yeah. I love that. RAP the Lighthouse. I love that place. Oh well, things come and go. Cafe Mercantile is just like a block from my house. Great backyard area when the weather's nice. Hanging out and talking to people there. I think Campfire Sign Design is fairly new. They're on 25th. Somebody recommended them to me. They turned around some T-shirts for my campaign in like a day, and were totally cool about it. Weren't like, why you give me this last minute?
And they're right there by Grounds, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They were great. Good Company Theater. Sadly, I haven't been there in a while, but the plays I have seen there, they do for such a small little theater company, they do an amazing job and do meaningful plays and works there. Monarch, watched that whole process from, all the walls torn out and everything to becoming what it is now. I've known a few of the artists there in different spaces there. OCA, Ogden Contemporary Arts there, love them, they're great. I did a piece for the Weber County Children's Justice Center. They were curating the art for that place, and so I did sort of the centerpiece sculptures for that. And we installed using Weber County Search and Rescue drone to like crane in the pieces. They were relatively light pieces for me, but this is a massive drone, and this giant muscly guy is the drone pilot. He was awesome. He was so cool. It was like, have you ever seen Reacher? I was like, it's Reacher. But that was great working with them. They were so professional, so great, and they got basically practice time to go through everything, and it was great working with such a professional team. Moore's Barbershop. I've actually been cutting my own hair for a while. I've been cheap, but a big fan of them. I sneak into Queen Bee for chocolates all the time. And yeah, I'm sure you see a theme there. A lot of that really is that historic core there. I'm just a big fan of, and I think we need to support every way possible. Yeah.
All right, last question. How do people get a hold of you, find out more about your campaign?
The easiest is just heath4ogden.com, either the number or the letter 4. I mean the letters, the number, Heath, F-O-R, Ogden, or Heath, number 4, Ogden.com. And that has website, email address, and all that. Phone number, email, and all that. That's the best way to get up with me. And I'm happy to talk to people. I love learning. I don't think I know everything. I know a lot, but I got a lot to learn too, and I love hearing from people. Yeah.
Go to oneogden.com to view written responses to candidate questionnaires from all the municipal candidates we've interviewed, and to find interviews from other candidates in Ogden, North and South Ogden, and Roy. Please share our interviews with your friends and encourage them to cast an informed vote, and subscribe to the One Ogden podcast to hear all the other Ogden stories we've been digging up.